There is an email group, Hard Work No Pay. So I interned with them a few years ago. So they keep sending emails of opportunities, internships. So that's how I got to know about the fellowship. And then I knew that some other people also from my undergraduate college did this fellowship. So yeah, these are the two sources that I got to know about the fellowship from. So I did get some idea from other fellows, like previous fellows. So I knew how the course was structured, and even on the website it was quite detailed. One expectation that I had from the fellowship was that because I have a background in economics, social work, law and economics, my experiences and my academic trajectory has been a little scattered. So I thought that through this fellowship, it'll help me bring a lot of it together. And also I have worked in my previous courses in the rural area, some bit in urban, but never really looked at urban as this fellowship was going to help me understand. So yeah, to understand the complexities of working in the urban and to help me bring together the different components of my previous studies. That was the biggest pull for me because I have an interdisciplinary background, and I would rather say this was something that I thought was giving importance to an interdisciplinary background and would give me some guidance towards my career. I really think it is required because the kind of academic learning that we have, it is so streamlined that we are taught to not look beyond it. It is like for an economist, it is very difficult to look at something that a sociologist would talk about, whereas this fellowship kind of challenges those norms, which is very important because when you're working in the field, having a perspective from just one field is not going to help you. And I think that's where interdisciplinary studies are important, where when you're dealing with real life issues, you can't look at that issue from just one lens and you need multiple lenses. And I think that's what makes this fellowship very important and crucial in the current times. To start with the first term, which is the common term, we had six modules with different concentrations. However, I was aware of few because of my previous studies, but some modules like planning, governance, little bit of ecology was something that I was not so closely related to when it comes to understanding the theoretical and practical background of it. So this part, this common term in terms of building up my theoretical and both practical knowledge of what is happening in the field was very crucial. And it helped me understand how different components can come together and play out in the urban sphere. And I feel that not just in urban sphere, in any sphere for that matter. This was followed by essays that we wrote, which was actually using all these components to understand the water bodies in Bangalore, which was quite interesting because I would have never looked at water body in with so many different lenses. And I think that part was quite full of insights and something that I would have never otherwise have looked at. And it also had the practica component where we had to work on a project that we liked in terms of topic. However, it was limited to an area. We had to come up with a question after analyzing the research gap that we thought was present in that area. We had guidance from the faculty. This was something very interesting because it didn't only look at, say, theoretical or field research. It added components of, say, how media can play a very important role in presentation, different forms of presentation. So me and my team, we worked on, say, labor unions in the Yashwantpur area, and through this term, we actually realized that how only written articles and research papers can also be the best way, but there are so many other alternatives. And I think through this learning, we presented our findings in a form of storytelling, which was something which was very interesting to us. After the common term, we have the elective term, where we are given choices in terms of 4 modules, and each module has 3 choices, and the kind of options that were given to us was quite varied, and it actually focused on different topics and different interest area, so that most of the people who are in the fellowship are able to choose something that is of their interest. They are both practice and theoretical courses, and I've chosen some. I have taken courses in climate change in cities, risk and resilience, more towards practice, because that's what my focus was, to understand urban through practicing. This also had the project part, which I'm currently also working on. This is a project in land financing in the Bangalore airport influence zone. So it was quite interesting until now, because it was both guided at some points, and there was some amount of independence where I could explore my interest, which was definitely structured because you had support from different sides. So I think even with ideas that I came up with, it was more helpful to have people who could reflect, who I could go and talk to and take suggestions from, to structure it better. So I think that part was something that helped me a lot. So practica was definitely in the very beginning. So the way we understood things and integrated different components of the fellowship was very different than what we did in exposure visit. Practica, I think, for me was more towards understanding how an idea that you have can be translated into different forms of representation. However, the time was not so much that we could go into deeper research, but it definitely gave me an idea in order to structure my question, structure my research um, aim, and also provided me with the guidance to conduct the research, and definitely the presentation part of it. So, and with exposure, because we had already finished the common term, so a lot of courses were already over. So exposure gave us a on-field idea of how different components that we were taught, the identity, economy, planning, governance, ecology, and infrastructure. How does it really play in an urban space? I went to Chennai, so we did visit a lot of different sites, met different people from different organizations, both governmental and non-governmental, people from academic and research background, to understand how these components interact with each other at a city level and how it can influence people's life. So I think that was a very good kind of ending to the common term, because it helped us integrate everything that we learned through the common term. Internships are to be seen in 2 different ways for different people. For a lot of people, they want to see this fellowship as turning out becoming a long-term opportunity, maybe not in the same organization, but maybe in a different organization, but giving them a structure to what they want. But for a lot of them, it is something which they really want to explore, which they have not worked in before. So I think for both of them, this internship part plays a very important role, and it kind of sums up the entire learning that you had, maybe by working on independent projects under somebody, or the theoretical learning that you had, that you can actually go and implement in an organization. So it's kind of a good closure to the entire fellowship program. I think I really like the skill lab part of the fellowship, because these were so varied and so different, and I would have never done this. I have never done this. Definitely the lectures and theoretical part I have experience in, but taking courses in photography, filmmaking, or audiovisuals, writing, different data analysis. I think that part of the fellowship was very helpful, because that helped me understand how different tools and skills can be used to actually integrate with different theoretical and practical research. So I think that integration of skill and theory was something that I found really interesting. So I would say skill labs. I think I would just like to say that this fellowship was a really great experience for me. I learned a lot, regardless of my previous academic background. Just these 9 months were quite packed, but it was structured in a decent manner, and I did learn a lot from it. And I assume that whoever applies for it will also get to learn a lot beyond what they have had before.